And I know you grew up listening to hip hop, being a part of that community, the hip hop community in the 80s and 90s. Who are some of the hip hop artists that you really enjoy and still listen to?
Oh, of course, Public Enemy, probably at the top of the list from those days. All of the 5% rappers, Poor Righteous Teachers, Brand Nubian, obviously the more mainstream brothers, LL Cool J, Kool Moe Dee, Gang Starr. I mean, just hip hop at that time was so rich, and I think that for me, and I hate to say this because I don't.
Back then, it was better.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all.
Well, they do got wearing dresses in 2021. Now, I'm just gonna say that my son will not be listening to a rapper that wears a dress.
Listen,
in my house, that is.
One of the greatest conversations me and my children have is over music.
Mm-hmm.
And my children are like children don't spare no feelings. They keep it 100. So we talk about different artists and they're like, Dad, dude is trash or whatever. And so I try very mightily not to be dismissive, because there are a lot of great artists today. I mean, just to keep it real, there's a lot of talented artists today. But then I do think that for me, because I require some substance, I hate that at least the mainstream hip hop is pretty much all the same. If you turn the radio on in your car, every song is the same. So I thank God for YouTube, because you can listen and I discover new artists all the time. But from those days, those were some of my favorites. Probably today, of course, the brother Jay Electronica is one of my favorites. I like Kendrick. I like, of course, Jay-Z, and a lot of the new
Busta
school
Rhymes' new album. I know you love that one.
Who's that?
Busta Rhymes' new album. You got
of course. Busta's, it's great. It's well worth the wait.
Yes, exactly.
That's a fact. I have a question. I'm not sure if you are able to answer this question at this time or on this platform, but the minister's brilliant. He's sincere. He's committed. He's charismatic. But is there a succession plan for leadership in the post-Farrakhan era?
That was my next question, DV. Oh, man, great job.
You know what, Brother DB, I think you'd be a good candidate. You and Brother Fred would be good candidates.
Oh, no, Fred can't, because we carry guns if Fred's in charge. Especially in Georgia.
I say that in jest, but in truth, the minister, unlike a lot, I see a lot of the great ones, right? And some of them are up in age, and you don't really see a whole lot of youth that they have developed. But when Minister Farrakhan is concerned, there are a lot of young leaders that he has developed. And the minister has looked out for our nation's future through the development of an executive council that really gives us more of a governing structure that reflects our maturity along spiritual lines. Because from the perspective of the Holy Quran, Muslims are to govern themselves with what is called a shura, or a council. And so we have a council that actually runs the nation now. But the minister, in his divine presence among us, is here to oversee the council. But all of us who have benefited from Minister Farrakhan's magnificent ministry should feel empowered in our own spheres to exemplify leadership. And so I hope that each and every one of us, especially as Black men, feel empowered through what Minister Farrakhan has sought to provide us, that wherever we are, whether we are in the nation or whether we are in the church, we might be in a Greek letter organization, we might be in a Masonic fraternity, that we should assert our leadership.
So I I got lost in translation. So no one knows no one knows who.
But there's not an individual, but there's a council. We have an executive council who runs and guides our nation.
Oh, so who's going to be the world? So the council. So I hate to sound morbid, but I'm just being honest, right?
Mhm.
Like, so, oh, okay, we'll use the word succeed, succession. Who, when someone has to succeed, Louis Farrakhan, is it appointed by Louis Farrakhan or is it appointed by the executive council?
Well, Minister Farrakhan said it like this. He said that, he did not put himself in the seat that he is in, that Allah did that, so, from a spiritual perspective, excuse me, that's a decision that Allah has to do. I don't know if there will be one, and that's the point that I'm making. Okay. We have witnessed, a developmental stage in our nation where we have been guided by men whom we believe are divine messengers of God.
Right.
Now, at a certain point, when you look at the history of Islam, you had Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Then you had 4 caliphs. But after that, the Muslims began to govern themselves with various types of councils. And you see a little bit of it in the present day organizational or governmental structure of the Islamic Republic of Iran, where you have spiritual leadership, but you also have political leadership, and they work together, they cooperate to run the country.
Okay, so that makes me want to ask, because Wallace D. Muhammad, right, the son of Elijah Muhammad, took over after Elijah Muhammad left, right? And then it kind of fractured because I believe he wanted to turn into like a Sunni Muslim, if I'm okay. And then it was like from my understanding, this is just my understanding, maybe naive, a novice, according to you, but Louis Farrakhan went on a recruiting campaign, right? Just my understanding.
The minister didn't go on a recruiting campaign. The minister followed Imam Muhammad as long as Imam Muhammad kept the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in a favorable and noble and dignified place within his representation of him. But when it became clear to Minister Farrakhan that Imam Muhammad no longer held the most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, his father, in high regard as he once had, then the minister made a departure from the Imam's community, and he did not know what he would do. He did not leave to go and rebuild the nation. He left because he did not like how the most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was being handled by his son at that time. And so, as the minister struggled to determine what he would do, to kind of rebuild his own life, at a certain point, people began to come to him and ask him, if he would speak here or speak there. And, he says that he always had in his heart, wanting to do something that would uplift the name of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. See, because just like today, Brother Fred, we're in Black History Month. And once upon a time, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was referred to as the most powerful Black man in America. Yet year after year, when Black History Month programs and commercials and initiatives roll forth, one of the most ignored and hidden figures in Black history is the most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Yet he did so much good for us. I mean, I'm incredulous that so many of his students, like Muhammad Ali, like Malcolm X, like others, are lauded for being great, but the man that helped to make them great is ignored. And so I have frequently asked the question, how can you love the fruit and hate the tree that produced it? And so Minister Farrakhan in the late 70s was wrestling with trying to determine what he would do with his own life and work. And he also was plagued by the desire to want to uplift the name of his teacher. So in September of 1977, he decided that he would begin to rebuild the work of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But he did not go recruiting.
Okay.
He only began with himself and two other brothers, Brother Jabril Muhammad, who was at that time known as Minister Bernard Kushmir, and another brother, Brother Wahid Muhammad. And that was how he began.
Oh, yeah, because I heard some first accounts that that Louis Farrakhan asked him to if he was to I'm using novice terms, right? Restart the Nation of Islam as it connects to Elijah Muhammad. Will you join me? I have first account. I heard first account interviews like that, so that's why I use the term recruit. Mike Wiwery the Great has a question. Without the minister, how do you protect the NOI from sellouts, traitors, and or informants? Excuse me.
That's a great question, because as the new movie discusses, the Panthers were infiltrated. We know that long before the Panthers even came into existence, the nation had been infiltrated. Marcus Garvey's organization had been infiltrated. All of our movements had been infiltrated. So we have the same challenge with the minister being present as we have with the minister not being present, in terms of being in the midst of a government whose stated purpose is to deny Black people the right to organize for freedom and independence. You know, people are talking about the brother, what's the brother's name who was the traitor to Fred Hampton? I forget his name.
Shucks. I know his name. William O'Neill.
Yeah, William O'Neill. But there's another famous infiltrator who is in the Southern California area, a brother by the name of Darthur Perry. Darthur Perry, you can watch YouTube videos where he's talking about how he was sent to infiltrate not some huge, well-known Black group, but the Watts Actors Studio. And this man has some very detailed accounts of the work that he did for the FBI that included setting fires and burning down an actor's studio. So, you know, you can have any kind of grouping. It doesn't have to be strong or formidable. It could be, you know, artistic or culturally oriented, somewhat benign in terms of politics. And yet, you know, you can be infiltrated. But I say that, you know, from the start, the Nation of Islam is a spiritual community. And I think to forget that and to only look at political considerations causes a lot of people to make misjudgments when they look at us. So, you know, like when you mentioned earlier, you know, people speaking out against someone that, you know, attacks our leadership. Well, if you look at it politically, then it's like, well, he taking sides against this one, and that was his friend, that was his homie. Now he ain't rocking with him no more. Blase, blase, blase. But you fail to forget, this ain't a political organization. Right. This ain't a street gang. You know, this is a spiritual community. Right. And so when the messenger of God is situated in our presence, then we have a duty to defend him against any and all. And so with respect to my brother's question, we believe that we must be vigilant against those things that he raised his question about. But we also know that God is on our side. You don't have to agree with us, but we just celebrated 90 years in America on July 4th of 2020. And the FBI is on record stating in the 1970s that they did everything that they could to destroy Elijah Muhammad. And yet he remained unchallenged in his position of leadership. And so a man who only went to 3 years in a school in rural Georgia set up for the children of freed slaves certainly wasn't taught anything in that little agricultural school setting that would cause him to be a foe that the powerful U.S. government could not topple. There had to be a force with that little man, and that force is with Minister Farrakhan and is with us today. So, you know, we take our lumps and our bumps, but by the grace of God, we're still here, and we will continue to be here.
Yeah, there's a big oh gosh, man. See, that's the problem. That's the gift and the curse of being the host of this show. There's a big conversation going on, and oh, you can't see the live chat. The live chat is jumping, man. Where it says live comment on your phone or your computer. Do you see that? Oh, I should have told you at the beginning of the show, man. It's definitely jumping. So there, when you mentioned where Elijah Muhammad should be celebrated for Black History